Hi everybody, ReCycle has just been recycled. And if you don't know what ReCycle is, please follow me in this very quick tutorial. ReCycle is a very old application actually. I think it came out in the year 2000 at the beginning of the new millennium. And basically it's a tool to manipulate drum loops, so you can, or any kind of loop actually, you can take any loop and slice it into small pieces, and then you can adjust the tempo, you can apply different effects to them, to the slices, and then you can also sequence this different short parts of the loop independently using a MIDI keyboard, for example. And here on screen you can see the new ReCycle, which is the one on top, and actually it's nothing really new. They are just updated and made a more modern version. It's compatible with Windows 18, 11, and with Mac Silicon. And the one on the bottom is simply the old version. I still have it because I bought it back in the days. I still have a valid license for my Mac, and it still works actually on my Mac M2 Silicon. But they just released this new version, which is a little bit more polished, and they're polishing the graphics, and they say they also have done some optimization in the background, but for just the sake of operation, they are basically the same. So if you still have an old version, you can update to the new one, but there's nothing new actually. But yeah, the good news is it's free. So the one at the bottom you can see here, if I go to ReCycle, and about ReCycle is version 2.2.4, which is very old, and this is my old license. And then we have the one on top, which is the new ReCycle. So if I go to about ReCycle here, you can see this is version 2.5, and it's a new version. So let's close the one at the bottom, which is the old one, and don't save it. And for the sake of it, let's just open the new ReCycle. And basically what ReCycles allow you to do is to open any drum loop. So I have a drum loop here. Let me just grab my headphones just to avoid any interference with the microphone, and let's simply play it. So it's a very simple, as you can hear, drum loop. But you can import it, and then you adjust the sensitivity. And what basically the sensitivity allows you to do is to adjust, of course, the sensitivity of the transient shaper. So if I drag, you see, if I drag the sensitivity slider to the right, there are slices appear. So the more, of course, I move it to the right, and the more slices appear. So let's give it an average, something like this. Okay, you can see ReCycle has just chopped the little pieces of your audio loop into tiny different fragments, and you can of course listen to them one by one if you like it. So you see, anytime there is a drum loop, the tool has divided into small chunks, and you can do different things. The first thing you might want to do is to change the tempo. Or you can use this and play it using, for example, Reason, Dr. Rex, or some compatible plugins and tools that adjust you to stretch the tempo, to increase the tempo or to lower the tempo. So let's say I want to make the drum loop faster, so I can just move the tempo dial. Okay, so for example, let's type in 180 BPM. And so now the playback will be at 180. And this should work pretty well because I'm just adding about 20% more BPMs. And you will see that, and you will hear also, of course, that the drum loop will play faster with almost nothing, no difference with the original one. So you see, and you hear that the drum loop is played a little bit faster now, with almost no audible imperfections. Of course, you can apply tremendous tempo such as this, but of course, if you're going to mess up the sample, which can be a creative option, the sound will be not so fast. So you see, it's just staggering, and it's too fast, of course. But if you stay in more or less the same territory, let's say I want to have 165 BPM, which is not much more than the original, the loop will play just fine. I can try also to lower it a little bit. So let's say I want to go slow it down up to 140 BPM. And now you see it's lower. Again, with little to nothing, little to no difference. You can see there are some small gaps, but the tool is trying to adjust this up. Maybe you need to have a little bit more sensitivity if you want to make it slower. So you have many more small gaps. You see there are almost no gaps now. Of course, again, if you want to use it for a very slow tempo, that could technically work. So, for example, 9 BPM, but they will probably sound a little bit odd. You see, there are, again, very short bursts of sounds and then gaps. We can try again adding more sensitivity for such a slow tempo, but I don't think it will work very well. That's right. Yeah, you see, again, we have very tiny fractions. So it can work, of course, but you cannot go to extreme difference. So let's go back to 150 BPM, for example, and let's remove the sensitivity. Then you can apply other kind of effects, such as the gate sensitivity, which is a nice tool because you're lowering, in this example, the gate, so the opening and the closing of the gate, so you can have a more stuttering effect. Let's try to play it and move the gate sensitivity. You see here, again, very staggered. No gate sensitivity, the loop will play normally. And then if I adjust and add more gate sensitivity, it will play very staggered. You can, of course, alter the pitch without altering the tempo. So it's basically altering the pitch of each slice without changing the tempo. You can, of course, lower it down, and you can change the gain. Of course, trying not to distort. Okay, let's go back to 0 or something like that. Okay. So this is for the sensitivity. Then you can also apply envelopes, and basically this is an envelope shaper, I think. So we have different attack and release time and also stretches. You also have presets here, so we can try, for example, this fake backwards, which will simulate a backward playback of the samples and of the slices. So you see it's very muffled because it's trying to reverse. Actually, it's just a very long attack, a medium attack, and a medium decay. Or you can, of course, adjust the parameters as you like. There are even tighter for in this example. So you have a tight attack and quite a long decay. Sorry. We now have this synth chopper, which has a short attack and short decay. You can adjust them. So let's try to play a little bit with the decay. So normal operation. Let's try to remove and to apply an envelope to a very short decay, and you see that every slice is cut off. And you also have this stretch, which will stretch the sample horizontally, so to speak. So let's go back to normal operation and remove the envelope. Then we have a proper transient shaper that you can adjust, and this is basically a compressor, I think. Yeah, actually we have a threshold, we have an amount, and then we have attack and release of the compressor. And you see here we have the usual LED bar, and again we have some presets. So for example, hard attack. Yeah, this compressor is getting into operation pretty soon. We have shot the peaks, which shot the peaks. We have a high amount and a reasonably long attack. More punch in this case. So it's a compressor, basically something that you can do in an external plugin, but we have a compressor here. And then you also have an equalizer, so you can equalize the loop. So we have a low cut, we have a low boost. Low frequency, and then we have a gate. The gain, and then we have the Q, and then we have high frequency, gain, and Q, and also a high cut. So let's play around with the Q a little bit. Yeah, you see here we have a low cut here, or we can have a high cut, and then you can of course play around with the low frequency. Actually, let's move it a little bit, yeah, back. Or you can, of course, lower it or add some more air to the high frequency. So that's basically it. You can adjust the time, you can apply different effects. You can, of course, silence some of the slices. So if you select a slice, you can silence the slice by clicking here on the small triangle, and this will be silenced, of course. And you see when it gets to that slice, the slice is not played back. That's basically it. So you open a WAV file, and then you can export it to REX format, which is the format used by ReCycle and also by Reason. So we can now try to save this loop as a REX file. So let's go here and basically just press Save As. And yeah, it's a REX2 file actually at the moment. So let's go to my archive here. And let's try to save the ReCycle demo, which is just a demo loop. And now we can try import it in Reason, for example. So let's launch Reason, and then we could add a REX player and use this loop. Yeah, so here we go. We can add a REX player, for example, so we can simply drag and drop or add a new device here. So this is the new version of Reason. It's the Reason 13. Yeah, here we go. It's actually called the Dr. Octorex. So let's play it here. Let's place it here. And of course, this will contain lots of different loops. And you can, of course, load any kind of loop that you want, and then you can run it or play it along your track. But let's try to open our sample that we mangled in ReCycle. So let's go to my archive and try to open. Okay, so here we go. Here we have the original loop converted into a REX loop. So it's a RX2 file, and let's open it, and we can play it back, of course. We can try to, in this case, we have a tempo of 120, so you can run it. And you see it's going very slow. It's going at 120 BPM because it was originally at about 150. So let's say I want to have it at 160 BPM. So let's set the project tempo to 160. And now if we try to play it back, you see that we have the loop playing back normally. So if we now try to add a small bar, let's move the loop here, we can of course play the single slices. So you can also write some kind of pattern variation. So let's make something very quick. So let's say I want to add some variation, so I can play, you see here the different parts, the different slices. So let's take, for example, this very simple hi-hat sound. So we have isolated this sound here, which is just a tiny fraction of the original loop, and so it will be played back. So let's try to add something in real time and see how it sounds. So you see we have very fast now repeating hi-hats. Let's remove the click, for example, and okay, we can try. The loop now is playing along this. Okay, let's try to add a kick here. 1, maybe 2 here, maybe 3 and 4. Okay, if I remove the run here from the Dr. Octorex, the loop will not play, and we are only playing the slices very fast. Let's try to add some variation as well, and let's see if we can create. So it's another kick, another part where there's a kick. Let's try to add something like that. Okay, so we get a snare sound here, so we try to put one here, and yeah, maybe the second one here, and the third one here, and the fourth one here. Okay, it's a little bit of a machine gun effect, but I think you can get the idea. So you see here very fast variation. And we can, of course, lower it down a little bit and see how it sounds. So let's try to get it back to 120 BPM, because now we have actually a new loop based on old parts of the old loop. And you see that the various parts are played back at different speed. So yeah, that's basically it. It's the new version of ReCycle. It's free, so go download. You can find the links in the description, so you simply click on them and you can get them for free and sample something and slice it up. See you, bye bye.